what we do here is go back.
What's the worst that could happen? Saying what's the worst that could happen? This, ladies and gentlemen, is the worst that could happen. Happy Saturday evening to you all. It is Saturday the 10th of the 10th, 2020. That's weird, 10/10/2020. Oh, I do amuse myself sometimes. Hope you're all doing well tonight, and hopefully you're all reeling and reveling in the news that has been this week. The Ryzen 5000 series, or Zen3 as it's been known. The aftermath is still uncertain. I'm not too sure how I feel about it. I feel positive that AMD are progressing and things are getting better as far as processor technology is concerned, but it does make me slightly fearful for the future with the increase in prices and AMD trying to shake off that budget branding, which is possibly not great for us, those of us trying to buy cheap or cost-effective processors in the current market. So we're going to that's easy for me to say. So we'll be discussing all those things and more this evening. Mostly I want to hear from you guys actually and see what your thoughts are. We'll talk over your potential builds, what you've got in mind, what you're planning to do, what bargains you found already. Has there been any on the market already? I know it's really early. Realistically, I don't think until probably Prime Day, maybe even slightly after, I don't think we're going to see any real bargains at the moment, but you never can tell. I actually picked up a bargain myself this evening, but it was RAM, so it's a completely different thing. But still, there are bargains out there to be had, so it isn't all doom and gloom. So anyway, let's say a quick hello to some of you that are in the chat. So we've got Angry Doges in the house, Ghost Adder, Golden Jokered, and immediately comes in straight away with a comment saying, I think if you have a Ryzen 3000 series, they aren't really worth spending the extra money on. That is being for the 5000 series. And I think that has been something which has been kind of echoed pretty much around the entire internet sphere, the Twitter sphere, and basically anywhere you look for your tech news. Pretty much everyone's saying the same thing, that yeah, this is all really good. I have noticed some of the kind of the top tier YouTubers seem to be a little bit more excited about this launch than, well, let's say the rest of us. Obviously, they generally don't have to pay for processors, they get them sent, so they're probably really excited to see this improvement in performance. But for us who actually have to go out and earn money to spend on these processors, I think it's a little bit of a more bitter pill to swallow. Which, yeah, like I said, Golden Jokered has pretty much summed up the feeling of quite a lot of people there, I think. Tristan G says, hi folks. And Tristan also says, I'm happy with my Ryzen 3600X and Ryzen 3900X on my two systems. I won't be spending dollars for these newer CPUs in the foreseeable future. Which, is this going to have a knock-on effect on AMD's revenue? We did see immediately after the release that the shares did dip a little bit. I'm not on a follower of stock markets. This is just something that I saw and it was reported on in a few places. I'm not too sure if they've actually rebounded yet back to their initial values, or maybe even gone a little bit higher. Maybe someone in the comments can let us know if that is the case, or whether they have continued to drop share price. I think depending on what happens on November the 5th, whether or not there's stock available and all that kind of stuff, I think that is going to have a big effect on stock prices. Arbiter Elegante, not sure if I've said that right, says, I'm picking the parts for a new PC. Should I wait for the 5000 series launch, or should I go with a Ryzen Zen2 processor? Yeah, that is another question that a lot of us are going to be asking, and I've been asking myself that question for, like I've said in the live stream previously, and also, yeah, I've been very kind of open and upfront about it. It really is a difficult situation, and AMD now have put us into this really weird place where there is this kind of golden product that you can almost grab out, but there's just a little bit of doubt. Yes, it would be really nice to have about a 20% increase in performance across the board in the majority of titles and applications. That is definitely a good thing, but it is a big jump in price. Like I said in my previous video, if you've watched it this morning, at some point there is a difference of almost 100% between the Ryzen 5 3600 and the Ryzen 5 5600X. So we were kind of sometimes getting those over here in the UK for around about 155, sometimes as low as £150 for that 6-core 12-thread beast. And now to have it released with an MSRP of $300, and obviously that is dollars. I'm pretty much guaranteeing that rather than us paying in the UK maybe, I don't know, 270, 260, something along those lines, I think we're going to end up paying 299. I can see it happening. I think it is going to be a thing. So to basically go from 150, although sometimes now they're about 175, 180, but I can pretty much guarantee they're going to drop a little bit. They're bound to. I don't think they cannot drop a little bit. Again, depending on stocks and what the market's saying, but realistically, I think we're going to see a little bit of a drop. So maybe if it drops down to 160, maybe 165, against £300 for the same processor, effectively, with a 20% improvement in performance, that is a bitter pill to swallow. Yes, they both come with a cooler. We've seen that, both come with the Wraith Stealth, but yes, it does the job, but most people, I think, realistically, for that sort of processor, are probably going to go for an aftermarket processor, or at least maybe make do of it for a little while. It's still going to add to the expense. It is a very, very difficult situation we're in at the moment. It really is. Very confusing, especially for those of you that have got cash waiting, and you're literally like, come on, like, take my money. It is a very, very difficult situation to be in. Who else we got in the chat? So Paul Bakewell, Tristan G, Skystalkers in house, and says more hardware equals happier husband. Yeah, there's a lot of that about it. Matthew Day's in house also. Matthew Day, happy birthday for this week. Hope you had a good one. Cold chicken and don't know what for dinner. Okay, decisions. At least with your cold chicken dinner, you can make the choice, and then if it's wrong, you can get something else. Processor wise, we're all a bit screwed. Ugly Bob says, evening y'all. Tristan G, oh yeah, I said that already, sorry, do apologise. Who else we got in here? Geordie Jeans 101. Hello to you. Pierre Plays YouTube, hello to you also. Just reading that. Oh, something about PSU. Irish Rallying. That says they dropped to around about $82 per share. So I'm not too sure what it was previously. I think it's probably, what, 86, 87 I think I saw. So yeah, AMD are losing a little bit of market share. And it seems really odd actually that we've gone from the point where, for me personally, I've always been something of an AMD fanboy. That has been pretty much since almost day one really. I started off on a 386, which I don't even know what 386 it was. I think it was a DX33 possibly. But after that we went through some 486s, and then we went to the 586s, AMD processors, been through some IBMs and some Cyrix chips as well. But mostly it's been kind of K5s, K6s, K7s, K8s, all the way through up to the present day. So mostly, apart from a few things where I couldn't have any choice in it, such as the Surface Pro 3, which was an Intel chip, other than that, pretty much everything I've had has been based around AMD processors. So yeah, I am definitely a fanboy to some extent, or at least I appreciate the value for money. I really would hate to see that go. I don't want to see AMD become Intel. And it seems weird that at the moment you can almost look at some of the Intel chips, the 6-core 12-thread parts with a cheaper motherboard, almost becoming the value position at the moment when looking at a similarly priced 5600 or 5600X rather. It's a really weird set of propositions in front of us at the moment. I don't particularly like buying Intel equipment, but certainly if they turn out to be the better value option, then I will completely go the other way. I will start ditching AMD stuff as soon as I can, and I will move over to the dark side, or the blue side, whichever way you want to look at it. I never thought I'd be saying this, that I would be ditching AMD potentially in favour of Intel. It seems like such a weird thing to happen. 2020 has been one hell of a year. It really has. From start to finish, I don't think
You haven't finished yet.
Yeah, we've still got, what, 3 months left?
3 months to kill.
God, yeah. What else can possibly happen? Well, AMD have got graphics cards coming out. Also, we've got another nvidia graphics card coming out. So yeah, this could still be a wet and wild rest of 2020. And we've got a super chat come in. So for those of you that are new here and don't know what the hell's going on, much like myself, Tristan G has sent us a super chat of $2 and says, upgrade to fish and chips, lol, wink wink. Thank you very much. And the RGB light that you can see over in the corner, that is connected via IFTTT. We did a video on it ages ago, which we might put a link up. But essentially, if you send a super chat, it sets off the RGB bulb. Kath's got to get up and turn the studio lights off, so it's good exercise for Kath's butt. And today we've had an Indian for dinner, and we've had a little bit too much chocolate and good stuff. So the more exercise, the better for both myself and Kath. I've been on the exercise bike literally for like 3/4 of an hour before I started the stream, so I'm looking a little bit sweaty or a bit hot. There's a very good reason for it. I'm not menopausal, not quite. But yeah, I have been on the exercise bike. It's an important thing to do, especially at the moment when things are so weird in the world. There's all these decisions to make for computers, components and all that. Eh?
And you've got unboxing.
Yeah, and I've got to do a review on it, so that kind of goes into it. But it's really, really important to keep active, keep moving, get some exercise, even if it is on an exercise bike in your own home. Just do something. Don't sit in a chair all day, moping, being miserable, all that kind of stuff. Just get up, do something, get the blood pumping, get some blood circulating. It helps clear the mind so you can think properly. Kath's making really rude gestures behind me there. You guys, you should have known that was going to happen. What, she always does this to me. I'm going to definitely get a camera and turn it around the other way. In actual fact, I have actually been sent by our friends over at Joby. They've sent me their new Gorilla Pod rig, which allows you to have more than one camera. So you can have a camera facing my way, and there's another option to have a camera facing the other way. So if Kath keeps on doing things like that behind the scenes and pretending that she's got a cough, I think that's what the motion is. She's going to be on camera, whether she likes it or not. Ugly Bob sent us in a super chat and is, he says, Mike's sweating like a glass blower's arse. Now, for those of you who don't know what a glass blower is, basically it's with a furnace with glass, molten glass, and they've got a thing and they blow it into shape to make vases, that kind of stuff. And yeah, I'd imagine they do sweat quite profusely next to that very hot molten glass. Pierre Plays YouTube says, Kath, get an LifeX bulb so you don't need to get up. That is not the answer. Not for Kath's backside. She doesn't need that. Don't need automation in her life.
We have, but that's everyone else's stuff.
Yeah, it's true, yeah. Kieran Atkinson says, I think it depends on what Intel do in 2021. Wow, 2021, that seems like a weird thing to say. If they chose to charge over 1,000 for their next top-end chip again, then I'll stay Team Red. Curious as to what Intel's response to be to the 5000 series. I think Intel's... Well, if Intel managed to work out the process node to reduce the chip size, I think it's going to be game over for AMD. Because Intel, at the moment, still on that old 14nm plus, whatever it is, process, or maybe 10 nanometer plus, whatever the case may be, to still pretty much keep up with AMD for this amount of time on that like 4th generation or 4 generations old process is actually very impressive what their engineers can actually do. So you imagine if they managed to get that to work on a smaller process, yeah, I think it'll be one of those cases where we went like we did with Athlon 64, and then Intel came out with the Core series, Core 2 Duos, Core 2 Quads, and it was like, okay, see you later AMD, you can just sit back there for a little while, we'll come back to you in a few years' time. And that is essentially what happened. So yeah, who knows? It's always that thing, you don't want to wait. You want to be able to go onto like Wikipedia and read into the future, and it's like, this is the history of AMD versus Intel, and so kind of see how it all pans out and see which way really would be best to stick your colours to, do you know what I mean? But we'll never know. Ugly Bob says, I'm knackered. I was up most of the night playing Sonic 2. Do you know what? I tried that yesterday. I downloaded Sonic 2 because it was free on Steam. So if you want to get Sonic 2 at the moment, it is free on Steam. Just go over there, head over to the Sega Classics, and you can get it. And I got to be honest with you, I hated it. I hated every second of it. Well, I actually enjoyed the loading screen. That I did enjoy. But the rest of it, I hated. The gameplay just seemed so clunky. It just, I don't know whether, I need to get one of the original consoles to see if they were actually that bad. Back in the day, in the kind of, what was it, late 80s, early 90s, probably very early 90s, I remember playing Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic Spinball, all those kinds of things, and actually having a reasonably enjoyable time watching the graphics and thinking, wow, this is great, this is like 16-bit, what the hell is going on in my tiny life? And now I'm playing it and it's like, oh, that's awful. Even with the enhancements turned on so it doesn't look like a Blockfest, it still just didn't play very well. It just seemed like the controller wasn't right for the game. It just seemed like it needed that original Mega Drive controller, or Genesis controller if you're that way inclined. Kieran Atkinson says, I think AMD may focus on their APU in that case. As Vega 11 tops everything Intel offered, I reckon AMD will have 5nm by the time Intel gets to 7.
Our 12-year-old cat is getting really playful.
Sorry, Kath is in a little world of her own, as per usual, not realising that the cat is going absolutely mental.
She's not going mental, she's just playing.
Oh, she's playing, she's not going mental. She is 12 years old in a little bit. That's the cat, that is, not Kath.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that was one thing I was surprised that we didn't see. Actually, was AMD announcing any APUs. And where's the low-end chips? Where's the 5100, the 5300X? Where's the 5500? Where's the 5600? Where's the 5700? Where's the 5800? Where are all these chips? And where's all the APUs that fit in between it? Where is our 5200G or 520GE? All those things, where are they? What's happened? Santa needed to bring those down the chimney this year to put underneath the tree. That is what we're really missing at the moment, some decent APUs. Yes, very strange. I would... John Sullivan says there was no 5700X. No, there wasn't. There was loads of things missing. So quick hello to some of you that have just come in the chat. So we've got Billy K also join us, Waldo135, Angry Doge, Ricardo, Bruce Cox, Gary, Sitka, I always get that wrong, John Sullivan, Brabant, and Norcal. Chips in short supply now. Actually, yeah, that's one thing. Oh, Aletta in there as well. Sorry, I didn't see you earlier. I did possibly, but I didn't mention you, I don't think, but I have now. Gary Haig also. Ultimate Tech Hub. How you doing, Mike? Gary Haig says he's just got off his exercise bike, so he's playing the Look Fit card. Hell yeah. Looking fit. Fit to drop. I'll tell you what, actually, those exercise bikes, if you haven't been on a bike for a long time, it seriously does mess up your junk. It is actually quite painful. I haven't ridden a bike in anger for probably, I don't know, 20 years, easily. Maybe more. And damn, man, the seat of my pants is aching. A little bit too much information, I know. But actually, it's good. You've got to get fit. You've got to get some blood flow going. You've got to get exercise in. Keep on moving. Otherwise you turn into a real couch potato, and that's horrible. But I am putting on some weight, so I've definitely got to do something about it. Captain Misa Venture says tech companies are going to seriously look at what they are charging. I mean, how many people have the cash to buy a top-end chip? Yeah, it is crazy. You think if you bought a top-end graphics card, so $700, a top-end CPU, $800. So that's $1,500 before you've even bought a motherboard, any RAM, any accessories, your case even. It does seem like prices are jacking higher and higher, but stock availability, I don't know about you guys all around the world, For us here in the UK, stock availability has been pretty patchy at best. Amazon, who are pretty much well known as being one of the kind of the best stockists in the UK as far as processors are concerned, because they do get the lion's share of them when they come in off the docks. Amazon are out of pretty much everything. Ryzen 5 3600, no stock whatsoever until the 18th of October, I believe. The 3300X, still out of stock, possibly stock on the 16th of October, I think I read. 3100, currently out of stock, stock due in on Tuesday. Pretty much the entire stock line of most AMD processors, unless you go to third-party sellers, which some are still available. But if you're looking as an Amazon Prime customer and you want to buy a CPU, there isn't a lot to choose from. I was thinking, can I have a quick look now? I don't think I can, because I'm probably logged in on my account and my details will be on there, so that's not a great idea. But have a look for yourselves. I don't know, in your particular neck of the woods, let me know in the comments. What's the stock situation like where you are? At the moment here, things are looking pretty poor. And I think CCL today put some placeholders for the new 5000 series on their website, although the pricing did appear to be completely way out. Whether that might even be real, I don't know. But if it is, they're selling the Ryzen 5 the Ryzen 5 5600X. I think it was like £340. So that's £40 dearer than the equivalent US price in dollars. So I'm assuming they were placeholder prices for now. They didn't have a pre-order button or anything, so you couldn't actually make a purchase. But yeah, not good. Stock is very, very limited. And seems that all the stuff that is in stock is basically RAM. RAM you can get pretty much anything, any quantity at very good prices. SSDs and NVMe drives, I just saw today actually, before I came on, UK hot deals, which or hot UK deals, whichever the case may be. Hot UK deals? UK hot deals. Hot UK deals, that's the one. On hot UK deals, I did see earlier a 2 terabyte TC Sunbow drive for £127 for 2 terabytes SSD. That is pretty amazing. I think the best we had last year was around about £61, I think, for a single terabyte. Single terabyte. So for a 2 terabyte drive for £127, that is pretty decent, and that's going to take a lot of beating on Prime Day, which generally TC Sunbow drives do dip to maybe £10–20 below their RRP on Prime Day. So imagine that, a 2 terabyte SSD for pretty much £100 potentially on Prime Day. That is pretty cool. Aletta says all of the Ryzen is available on the US Amazon. Well, that's interesting. Waldo135 says there's no Ryzen 5 2600 or 2600X from Amazon, only third-party sellers, sadly. Waldo135 is in the UK, so that's more relevant to us. X-Sided says B550 Steel Legend and the 5600X good duo. Works for me. Sounds like a perfect duo, to be honest with you. Tristan says here in Seattle, the 3600X is $209 in stock at Amazon. That's actually not a bad price, is it? I don't think, as for the X, because I think the X was normally about $10 or $20 more expensive than the 3600, so that is not too bad. Ultimate Tech Hub says SSDs are getting so cheap now. They are.
You also asked which is your preferred brand.
What is my preferred brand of SSD?
While you're on that.
My preferred brand of SSD is a difficult one. Now, to some extent, I feel inclined to say Silicon Power because they do send us a lot of drives for testing. And because of that fact, I've tested a lot of their drives and I've been very impressed with them and I've not had a single failure. So for that side of things, I would say Silicon Power definitely are on my list. Ultimately, I think if I'm doing a system build for a customer or for YouTube content or whatever, or even my own stuff, I'm tempted to go with whatever's cheapest on the market. Sometimes that is actually Silicon Power drives here in the UK via Amazon. So it depends what the cheapest is. The TC Sunbows, I have bought many of those. They've always been very good. In the past, I've used, oh oh god, what's the company that went bankrupt? OCZ. I've used the OCZ Arc 100, I think it was. I bought 3 of those at the same time, 2 of which have failed. So, yeah, they were then bought out by Toshiba, and then there's now Kyonix or something. So, they may or may not be any good. But generally, I think, as far as SSDs go, there isn't really a bad one to go for these days. They all tend to use very, very similar technology. My biggest thing would be to go for one which has got a good warranty. So I know for a fact Silicon Power, pretty much all their drives at the moment are 5-year warranty. Some of the lower end SSDs tend to be 3 years. Other than that, just shop around, see what the good prices are.
A lot of people like.
Yeah, the Sabrent drives seem to be very popular.
We like the mic.
Yeah, we've used their microphones and some of their camera equipment, but never any of their SSDs or hard drives. So, but they do seem to be. There was a weird thing actually, Sabrent, because they came from absolutely nowhere, not doing anything in the kind of digital field at all, to releasing some SSDs to begin with, some pretty low end ones, and then all of a sudden the Sabrent Rocket came out in the NVMe, and it's like all of a sudden, bang! They just seem to get really popular very quickly. I think they did send out a load of drives to reviewers, YouTube content creators, all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
So they did hit the market pretty hard with free samples, which in most cases is a pretty good way of getting your name out there. And it seems to have worked, and they've grown their business tremendously, and they've got a massive range of drives now, which a lot of people do like. Hopefully that answers your question. John Sullivan says, I'm going to wait until Black Friday and try and get some M.2s and SSDs. Hardware in box, did a video earlier comparing the two. Not much speed difference. Gen 4 M.2s, not worth the extra. Now actually, I do like hardware unboxed videos and their content, but this particular one, I did find a few kind of things which, yes, they are focusing on gaming. That is what their channel is essentially about. They don't really do much else other than gaming. So I think it was a little bit unfair in some respects to say that PCI Express Gen 4 is basically there's no point, which was essentially what their kind of TLDR was. In my opinion, my usage case is actually very different. I very rarely play games. Mostly I'm analyzing data in spreadsheets or tabs in Chrome, Edge, whatever the case may be, or I'm moving files from one area to another, video editing, all that kind of stuff. And video editing is actually one of those things that PCI Express Gen 4 does improve quite dramatically, especially if you've got more than a couple of 1080p clips on the timeline. For a lot of you, there's no interest in this whatsoever, but for those of you that are possibly content creators or thinking about getting into video editing, it is actually very important. And the difference between a PCI Express Gen 3 and a Gen 4 drive when scrubbing along the timeline is a big difference. So when they say yes for gaming, yeah, there's no point basically. It's kind of a little bit of a niche view. I know there's a lot of people out there that basically they got their PC for gaming, but if you're using your PC for general purposes, normal work use really, and a little bit of gaming, then I personally would say yes, get a PCI Express Gen 4 drive, especially when Microsoft's new API, the Microsoft Direct Storage API drops, which it is going to. There's no doubt about it. They have confirmed it. So it's on consoles. Obviously, that will be ported over to PC. It's all kind of within that kind of DirectX 12 thing. So definitely worth considering it. If the prices are roughly the same for a PCI Express Gen 4 against a Gen 3 drive, buy the Gen 4, you'd be mad not to, because it will make a difference sooner or later. Kath's got her finger up in the air, so that means either she's past wind or something.
Overclockers I've got now 5,000 prices up.
Ah, how much is that?
That's a 5600X, 289.99.
Okay, so it appears overclockers in the UK have, sorry, I'm going to ignore some of the questions on here at the moment. I'm going to get this up on the screen so we can all see it at the same time. Now, I am not an, actually, am I an affiliate of overclockers? No, I'm not. I think they offered it, but I'm not. So let's go to overclockers, because this is actually genuine, interesting content. Who'd have thought it on Mike's Unboxing? Now everyone's hitting their site. Okay, so where are we? PC components. And let's go with processors, AMD CPU. And if it actually loads, I can't see them here. Have I got to scroll right down?
Have you got Discord online?
No. Sorry about this, I'm just trying to find the pricing. No, I'm not finding it. Oh yeah, I am. Sorry, yep, here we are, right at the very end. It would be, wouldn't it? Okay, so let me share my screen. So that is number 3. That's not worked.
It's 2 usually, isn't it?
That didn't work at all. How did I not do that right? Oh, I know I didn't do. Right, let's put that up there. And rookie mistake. Now, hopefully that is changed over. I can't see. Is that up to speed? No. Yeah, it is. There we go. Okay. Can they still hear me? I can't see my chat now either. Anyway, okay, so there we go. There is the Ryzen 5 5600X 6-core 4.6 GHz socket AM4 processor. And let's say see details. And there we've got a grey price. So, okay, so 6-core 12 threads, 4.6 clock speed. I think that's the boost speed, not the clock speed, so that's technically wrong. I'm pretty sure the clock speed is like 3.6 or 3.7. 7-minute phone FET, yeah, 32 meg level 2 cache, yeah, that's right. Dual channel DDR4, correct. Now this is the one which actually I was surprised they didn't discuss actually in the product launch. They didn't mention anything about RAM speed, so they're saying there that 3200 to 3600 megahertz RAM is recommended, which really has surprised me. I was really expecting that the Infinity Fabric to increase a little bit more than it has done. Maybe when it actually comes to reviews, that may well change. I would have liked to have seen that being sort of 4000 to 5000 megahertz RAM. Which makes it interesting because if Freudian slip, if AMD have actually tested with DDR 3200 or 3600, that means that if we do then choose to use faster RAM, potentially the Infinity Fabric may scale and allow better timing and better response. So that is quite an interesting one. So let's take a look at the other processors. So there, the Ryzen 7 5800X. Holy sheesh kebabs. Okay, that's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. £428.99 Earth pence. Again, they've quoted the boost speed rather than the core speed. 4.7 clock speed, which is your boost speed. 8 core, 16 threads. Again, same memory recommended. 3-year warranty. Yeah, pretty much usual stuff there. So UK looks like we're not getting a particularly good deal on this. And we'll do it in order. 5800. Actually, no, 59. Let's look at the 59. So 5900X, 12 cores, 24 threads. Blimey, £529, which I think that one was what, $549. So $549 does not equate to £528. Even if it was euros, it wouldn't be that close. So I think $549 would work out to be what, £470, I think.
Probably a bit more.
Maybe. I'm not going to ask Google because Google's stupid. Yeah, so not brilliant prices. So an even bigger reason for us not to upgrade at the moment. And let's see what this crazy thing will be. Yeah, so that was what, $799 in dollars, and we're getting $749. But you do get 16 cores, 32 threads, 4.9 gigahertz clock speed. It's not 4.9 gigahertz. That is the boost clock speeds. That is really annoying actually on a lot of retailer sites now. They do that. They quote the clock speed as being the boost speed, which isn't incorrect, but it's just misleading. Because someone's going to get that in their machine, fire it up, and it's going to be running at what, 3.8 or something. And they'll be like, my processor's not working, it's only getting 3.8. It's like, yeah, but that's what it's meant to be. It's only boosts to 4.9. No.
2074 in English money. And did you thank Billy Kay for showing you that links?
Thanks Billy Kay for the links, actually, for mentioning it. Kath saw it on the Discord. I didn't, because I haven't got Discord running, sorry. So thank you for that, appreciate that. Although I don't appreciate Overclocker's pricing on there. 799, actually, hey Google, what is $799 in UK pounds?
$799 is approximately £612 and 33 pence.
£612 and change. And we get 740. If that is what they're actually going to be selling these for on November the 5th, I'm going to be pissed off. Because that is an absolute mockery. Actually, I'd be more tempted to buy this stuff from Amazon US and get it shipped over here and pay like $30 import tax. Which would still make it much, much better. Yeah, plus you haven't paid for that. Because it's included in the tax. Oh, that's plus VAT?
That's what Glenn's saying.
I wouldn't have thought so. I don't know, you never know, it might be plus VAT. Normally overclockers tend to show their prices inc VAT. But who knows? But that is, yeah, that is pretty piss poor. I've got to say it. Yeah, hopefully, again, those are just going to be placeholder prices. But that is, well, that gives you no reason to upgrade, does it? It generally doesn't.
$799, not $749.
Yeah, because it's $799 over in America. Their MSRP. It's £749.
Oh, okay, somebody just said it.
Right. I think that's right. The AMD pricing, I'm pretty sure, was where are we? I've got it actually here. So yeah, Ryzen 5 5950X, which is what we were just looking at. So the MSRP 799, and actually against the 3950X, which is that is what the release price is here. So what we're discussing a little bit earlier. Let's zoom that in a bit so you guys can see it a little bit easier. Hopefully that's visible for you all now. So this is from PCgamer.com, the UK version of the site. So Ryzen 5000 series, there's the different processors. There is the suggested recommended retail pricing from AMD as per the slides in the show. And there is the equivalent models of the previous generation and their initial release prices. Now obviously these initial release prices now are nowhere near what you pay for the retail products at the moment. They are considerably less. So when you look at it here in this kind of scheme of things and you're like, well, okay, yeah, that came out and it was $749, but now it's only $50 more for this one. That seems pretty decent. But now that you can pick up the 3950X, I don't know what, $600 give or take, that is a $200 discrepancy between the two, which is a lot of money. And $200 can get you, what, 16 gigs of RAM easily. Go towards your next graphics card up the tier, so going from like a 1660 Super up to whatever the next tier will be up from that, maybe a, I don't know, 3700 or, sorry, 3070 or 5700 XT, whatever the case may be. It's a lot of money to stump up for what is approximately somewhere in the region of 20% performance uptick. Yeah, it is a lot of money. Certainly, this is the one that kills me. This really kills me. The Ryzen 5 5600X, $299. Now, yes, it may be a fantastic chip the thing's going to have to cook me breakfast before I'm going to pay $300 or £300 for a 6-core 12-thread CPU. It doesn't even hit 5 gigahertz.
You've made me sound cheap now.
Kath is cheap. She's much cheaper than $300, but not over the life cycle of the product. her TCO, or total cost of ownership, was considerably higher.
Give another massive shout out to Billy K for those.
Big shout out to Billy K. Whoop. Thanks, mate. Kath told me to say that.
You didn't hear you do it last time.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah, again, $249. This is the XT, so it is a little bit different. The XT was a minuscule upgrade in performance, about 100 megahertz over the kind of X, and the X was again about another 100 megahertz over the 5600 and a different TDP. So realistically, my personal opinion is the Ryzen 5 3600, forget the XT bit on the end and forget that price. Take off, what, another $50 off that? I think currently someone said about $200 at the moment in the US. $200 versus $300 for maybe 25% improvement performance. So 25% for a third in price doesn't add up. Just doesn't add up.
Those prices do include that.
These prices, oh what, overclockers? Yeah, overclockers is including that, that's right, yeah. Yeah, so these prices here, it's just it ain't worth it. And the chances are, the 5 series, or the Ryzen 3000 series, these are all going to drop in price. Because there's going to be people trying to sell these on the open market, second-hand used market, so they can go ahead and buy these. And because people are going to be flooding the market with these, that means that retailers aren't going to be able to charge the same, because they're just going to have stock hanging around. And they want to clear the stock out, because they want to start selling these at higher prices with obviously better markups, etc. It's going to be a hot product over the kind of winter period, so late fall, early winter, probably into spring, depending on how things go. More and more people working from home, COVID, etc., looking like increasingly more lockdown. So people are going to be buying processors. People are going to be buying.
Having extra money.
People are going to be buying more PCs, wanting faster PCs so they can get more work done quicker, so they can clock off earlier and get on with their lives, although they can't go out or do anything, so get a slower PC. Makes a difference, save the money. You never know when you're going to need it. But yeah, there we go. Let's close that down. And are we back? We are back. Although that window's still there. Christ, how much of a lag is there? Holy crap. Right, where's the chat gone? Sorry, I have been ignoring the chat because I've had the other window open. I had this set up perfectly.
And Billy K.
Then it's all Billy K's fault. Right, let's go back down. So yeah, me personally, as someone who has a minuscule presence on YouTube, for me it's really difficult, extremely difficult, because all I want to do is build value for money PCs. That is what my whole ethos is about. It's what the channel's about. It's what most of the people in our Discord and the viewers, you're after value for money. Nobody wants to be ripped off. Nobody wants to pay over the odds. Maybe there's some people who've got a little bit of extra cash and they don't mind splashing the cash on something new and sexy. Totally fine. I completely get it. Me personally, I kind of like to keep a little bit in reserve just in case I need it, but that's just me. If you want to splash stuff, hey, go for it. It's better for all of us, because then you get to sample it and you can then tell us what it's like. But for me personally, I don't want to spend over the odds and not get value for money. So I've got these new processors coming in the next, 3 weeks. So I'm in a position where I really should be kind of buying them and reviewing them and seeing what they're like. But I'm really struggling to kind of justify spending that amount of money on something which I don't think is going to be as good as people are making it out to be, or at least wanting it to be. Some of the differences in gaming are actually in minus figures in comparison with some other processors, which I find weird. On the AMD slides, they did have increases of up to 50%. They did drop down to like -3 or -2 on some games. So some architectures or some games aren't really built for it. So to spend a lot more money, or over the odds effectively, on a new processor, just because AMD don't want to be the budget offering anymore and they think they can flex a bit against Intel, but at the same time they're flexing against us. Now, I wouldn't say necessarily that by buying AMD over the years, we've necessarily been kind of gifted by AMD in any way. They're still making money, that's why they're still around. Yeah, they got through some slightly rocky edges, but I don't feel that as an individual, as a customer, that AMD have done me any specific favours. They've sold their processors in the market for what they could charge for them. Generally, they were the underdog, so you got them a little bit cheaper. And with Ryzen, they were pretty much still the underdog, so we did get some pretty decent prices. AMD's market share was so minuscule that they had to do something, so they reduced the prices further to try and increase the market share. Now they've got like 25% of the kind of gaming market share from what the Steam surveys tell us, which isn't really an accurate representation, but does give you some idea of trends, that kind of thing. I would say probably at the moment, worldwide, I would expect it to be at least 40%, if not more, of the total gaming market. If you take out things like laptops and older devices. Most computers built within the last 3 to 5 years, I would pretty much guess mostly are going to be AMD systems now. It does seem to be getting that way. Anyway, I'm getting off the topic. So what I was trying to say is AMD hasn't given us an easy ride. They haven't said, well, these processors are actually worth, for instance, £200. So we're going to sell them to you for 175 because we love you guys. We think you're pretty cool. You rock. So you can have it a little bit cheaper. It isn't that at all. They've not done us any favors. They've sold it for what they could get for it. And at times prices have gone up, prices have gone down. Look at the 1600 AF. At a great processor, AMD sold it at what they thought it was worth at the beginning, because it was basically a Ryzen 5 1600 with a little bit of a tweak. And as soon as it got popular, the prices went through the roof. So AMD haven't done us any particular favors there. Some processors have been popular, and rather than them bashing away trying to get as many of those out the door so there's stock available, they've just said, well, that's okay, no worries, you guys can buy the other stuff that we got available. 3300X out of stock for pretty much indefinitely, so you've had to buy something else. So then you have the choice, right, 3100, or most people are probably going to go up a level and go to the Ryzen 5 3600, which again has been super popular and at times has sold out, again pushing you up to the next level. So AMD haven't done us any particular favors. So should we feel now in 2020 going into 2021 that we should reward AMD by showing our loyalty to them by spending extra on processors, which quite honestly I don't think are worth the extra? I genuinely don't think that is the case. They need to drop at least $50 to $100, and certainly more than that here in the UK, to make them a viable alternative. If they were exactly the same prices when they came out on November the 5th, it would make sense, because yes, you're getting more for your money, it's an improvement in performance. Maybe if they were £10 more per SKU, I could quite easily go along, maybe 20, maybe even £30 with them not being greedy. But to charge an extra £100 on top of what is on the market already, or at least that's what it's looking like, getting up to £100, that for me is quite frankly taking the piss. And I don't like people taking the piss. So I will take my money and my wallet and I'll go elsewhere. And chances are I'll end up just buying some of the older 3000 series. But again, let me know what you think. David Thompson says, bring back Cyrix. Right on. Let's see. Steve Elder says hi.
And US prices don't show state taxes.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Who said that?
Stevie Elder.
Stevie Elder raised actually a very good point that for the guys over in the US, it doesn't generally include sales tax for your local area. Now, I guess in some respects, because not everybody pays the same amount of sales tax, it's difficult for them to do it. But again, that is something you have to take into consideration. And we kind of take it for granted here in the UK that we just pay our value added tax, or VAT. It's kind of included in the price, and it's a universal thing throughout the country, pretty much on almost everything apart from maybe food and books, maybe clothing to some extent. But most things, it's got VAT included. You kind of expect it. So we don't get that additional kind of sales tax. So that is definitely something to take into consideration that is going to jack the prices up. But having said that, it is also going to go the opposite way. So the previous generation would have had sales tax as well. So it is still an extra to consider, but it isn't really. I suppose you pay more tax on a higher expenditure. So in theory, the tax would be more. But then that's kind of getting into the minutiae. Matthew Day says Ryzen was AMD's last chance saloon after the FX, their Pentium 4 moment. Yeah, definitely. Bruce Cox says maybe they're trying to fake out Intel. You never know. Reese Reed says, see the 3600 going up in price, which is why I bought a 3600 yesterday. The 3600 is still an awesome processor. Waldo135, to answer your question, when is the Minecraft Flight Simulator video coming out? That is still something I'm working on. I haven't forgotten about it. It will be about at some point. It's been a bit of a crazy time recently, so yeah. And I have a real job as well as this, so it's not as if I'm sat here on my butt, scratching it, waiting for something to do. Pierre Plays YouTube says, I've been trying to say that in chat for ages. I'm not too sure what that was, but still. NR3 Games Limited, or whatever that is, NRIII Games, etc. We pay 13% sales tax in Ontario, Canada, and it is not included in the list price. Yeah, that must be really weird when you go shopping. Like, I guess if you're used to it over in those various states and countries or whatever, we generally always have, well, that is part of our, like, I think it's UK law, or at least English law. I'm not sure about the rest, Scotland, Wales, etc. But I'm pretty sure that the prices marked on the shelves or on a product have to be the full price, including any additional taxes. Apart from, I think wholesalers get away with it. So if you go to some of the big wholesalers like Macro, Costco, I think to some extent, they can show the prices excluding VAT because they're selling directly to business customers who don't pay the VAT because they get to claim it back. But for retail sales here in the UK, I'm pretty sure that the price listed must clearly indicate the full sales price that you would pay when you go to the checkout or the till. Jax Teller says, good evening. To Kath, not to me.
To you,
it hates me.
You put it before you. He was like, hello, sorry I've not been
Kieran Atkinson says, I ordered that weird Goldenfield jet engine cooler last night. Kieran, I get it now. Yeah, I get it. I understand who you are now. The name on Discord is different. It involves a cake. I recall now. Alessa says, in the US, we usually calculate the sales tax in our heads when we buy stuff. That's quite impressive. I have a hard job calculating anything in my head when I'm in the shop. So I'm always looking around at bargains and stuff. If I think of anything else, I think my head would actually explode. Although saying that, I don't think I've actually been, as a shopper, into a store for... When was the last time I went to a store? Can you remember?
Before they brought in masks.
I think it was in George's place, wasn't it? Because I went in to buy a pair of trainers or something. Or some socks. That's last year.
About a year ago, we
know,
went to
early.
Primark.
Yeah, I haven't been into a retail store actually to shop for things for probably almost a year. This is pretty scary. Yeah. Wow. I really must get out more. Ugly Bob says, I'm just waiting for the third-party benchmarking on these new CPUs to see if they are actually worth the money. That is going to... I've got a really, really weird feeling that when these processors come out, that they are essentially going to be the same performance as the previous generation, clock for clock. I don't know why I'm thinking that, but I'm thinking they will be. I don't know why. I've had this kind of weird inkling that that's going to be the way it goes. Oh god, I just fast forwarded through that far too fast there. Matthew Day says I need to organise things to review my under £15 blood pressure monitor. If it doesn't make my arm drop off. I do hate those blood pressure monitors, the cuff ones that you put on and they inflate themselves. You get that kind of, the first time you do it, you always get massively high blood pressure because you get kind of like white coat fever. And you're like, oh god, something on me. But if you do it a couple of times and then the third or fourth time, take a reading from then, generally it's much better. Stevie Elder says there's no state tax in Oregon. Right, we're going to Oregon. Mally says, can I ask your opinion, please? You can. You may not like the answer, but you can certainly ask my opinion. With no new APUs, what budget CPU for HTPC would you recommend at the moment? Or is it better to wait for the new Intel CPUs until March 2021? Now, it depends what you're doing. If for your HTPC, if you want it to be very cool, very small, very quiet, then I would probably go for something like the the Athlon 3000G, depending on what it is you're doing. If you're transcoding, then you might want to go a little bit further up the stack, maybe to probably a 3200G, maybe even an older 2400G, depending on what your workloads are and what your requirements are. If you don't mind having a graphics card in the machine, you can have a slightly larger machine, then I would probably go with something like the Ryzen 3 3100, which is actually an amazing chip, it really is, and extremely good value for money, and possibly pair it with maybe an RX 570 or you are spoiling me, young lady.
It's Captain Neat.
Or go with a GTX 1650 or 1650 Super. Okay, it does depend exactly what you're doing, what sort of budget you're spending, but if you just want bare bones budget stuff, 3000G is actually not that bad for HTPC. If you've got other stuff going on as well, transcoding, all that kind of stuff, other tasks, or you want to use it for a bit of light gaming, then it's possibly not ideal. But the 3200G, actually the 3200G, when you clock it to about 4 gigahertz, which is roughly what it does under boost anyway, it actually is a really nippy little processor, and I've sold a couple of PCs with those in, and yeah, the 3200G is pretty decent. I would certainly buy another one, and I am actually trying to work out what to do for myself with that HTPC in the front room. I've been talking for so many years now about getting rid of that tiny little AM1 PC, and finally I've got a good reason to get rid of it. Which is bizarre because I've got a new thing come through from Redkey, which is basically it's a little USB stick which erases hard drives, because I'm pretty sure there's some stuff on those drives that I don't necessarily want leaving the house. I've got my kind of finances and all those kinds of things, my tax returns that have been on these drives. So I'm getting a little bit more paranoid about what is in my data, and I know for a fact that a lot of companies now will buy up drives purely for the fact that they can scan them to try and get information off them to then try and extort money from you, which is what is the world coming to? Like I said, 2020 is becoming a really effed up year. It really is. So it's really important now to try and erase your data. So Redkey actually do like a little USB stick, which you can plug in, and it works much better than things like D-Ban and all that kind of stuff. So you can just erase your disk. So I'm really looking forward to trying that out. I've got one that's coming, so I'm going to give that a go and see what it's like. But then it gives me an opportunity to get rid of that PC and replace it with something new and a little bit more shiny. So yeah, a long way around, but I'm definitely going to replace it because I really do want to have a nice HTPC setup in my front room with one of my projectors set up permanently on the wall so that I can choose either output it to the TV or output it to the other HDMI and then run it through the projector, which I think would be absolutely perfect, especially the winter months come in. I'm pretty much guaranteeing, I'm not a political person really, I don't know the future, but I would say it's extremely likely there's going to be another major lockdown here in the UK. So I don't want to spend the rest of my lockdown in the winter, freezing my butt off in this studio, slaving over a computer and then watching like a movie on one side of the screen and doing my work on the other. I'm going to say, F it, I'm taking it easy, I'm relaxing, Going to go into the living room, going to turn on my HTPC, turn on the projector,
Get on your exercise bike.
crank up the crank up the fire, maybe get on the exercise bike while I'm doing it. But I'm just going to actually enjoy it this lockdown and actually watch some movies and make the most of actually some of the equipment I've been accumulating, because you got to. What is the point in living otherwise if you don't enjoy the stuff you've got around you? No point. Anyway.
What are you drinking?
What am I drinking? Oh, that is important actually. Tonight I will be drinking mostly, Matthew, Ringnes, which follows on from our ass beer. Got rings and asses.
And you had...
These Norwegians got some really crazy ideas.
That might help out with that Indian you had earlier.
Oh yeah, this is going to be for removing my ring sting from the Indian earlier. So we've got some Ringnes. And this was sent to us from Soaked in Gel.
Thank you.
Or I'm trying to think what the Discord name is now. I get so confused. You guys got so many different names all around places. But thank you. And cheers, everybody. Hopefully, yeah, the AMD launch has been good for you. And not confusing the shit out of me, like it has. The cake is a lie, someone said. Who said the cake is a lie?
It was a game.
Oh, yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, cheers, everybody. Ugly Bob, hopefully you're drinking as well. Hopefully you're all drinking. Not that Mike's Unboxing in any way endorses or condones drinking, but I've got a chewing gum in my mouth. But yeah.
Have a sip of that golden.
See what this is like.
Ring.
This actually looks, it reminds me a lot of Special Brew, the can, which Special Brew was well known for people in the UK that are basically just completely off their trolleys, blacked out in a gutter somewhere. Ooh. It's got a bit of bite to it. It's very smooth. Catherine? Okay, back to the questions. Tristan's going. Thanks, mate. Thanks for dropping by. Jack Taylor says, I've not drank for 3 months. That's a good thing, I think.
Lockdown, no.
Oh yeah. Pierre Plays YouTube says, I wish I was drinking. I'm laid in bed. Wish I was laid in bed not drinking. Captain Meets Adventure says, Mike, how is the brew from the ring? It's actually quite a cheeky little number, that. I quite like that.
Nothing like a smooth ring.
Ugly Bob's having a cheeky cider. Ugly Bob actually drinks enough cider so he actually makes himself into Handsome Bob.
Lisa, Sue and Ugly Bob too.
Lisa, Sue and Ugly Bob too. Well done, Catherine. You get 10 points for that one. That's very good. John Sullivan says, no beer, so I've done myself a Black Russian. Billy Kay says, I think those prices are going to be placeholder prices. I certainly hope they are. Irish Rallying says, AMD will likely release non-X variants of the Ryzen 5000 series further down the line at cheaper prices. Certainly they would need to be cheaper prices, although saying that, recent kind of marketing strategies, the X variants of AMD processors have generally been about, well, yeah, I suppose about $50 more when they first started doing them, which was absolutely crazy. Whereas now they're about £10 more, $10.
CBT White's going.
CBT White, thank you. Off to watch the telly with the missus. Enjoy. Sotin Gel says, I'm drinking black ass.
I think you said that earlier.
Nice.
I caught a bit of that.
Pierre Plays YouTube says, Mike, I was saying earlier that those US prices are most likely listed pre-tax, so your conversion calculations could be wrong. Yeah, unfortunately, that makes them even more expensive, kind of. It's difficult to work out, though, because depending where you are in the US, your sales tax is going to be different. So, I guess that's why it just says in most places, plus sales tax, which is applicable to your area. Because that was one thing that the American government were trying to clamp down on. So, if you bought something from, say, Amazon, the sales tax would be like generic. What the hell's that? So it would be essentially generic, that kind of thing. Whereas if you bought, say, a computer component from somewhere in California, you'd pay more tax than you would elsewhere. So yes, very strange stuff indeed.
Angel.
Michael. So Mike says, even with sales tax in the States, still cheaper in any state than in Europe. Yeah, I don't doubt that at all.
Is that right? Thank you.
Ugly Bob says, at Calf Turtle, the microwave is done. Pierre Plays YouTube says, it's Lisa Sue at the door. Alexa says, in Ohio, the 5950X would be $860 including tax. So, hey Google, what is $860 in UK pounds?
$860 is approximately £659.08.
So we need the 5950X to be released in the UK for about 650 quid or pounds, which I think is exceptionally unlikely. Matthew Day says the $129.99 for the 2600 and $137.99 for the 2600X seem like strong contenders versus the 3100. Yeah, that actually is. The 3100 at the moment you can get for about £85. So 130 against 85, that is quite a jump. That's almost the price of like a second-hand GPU. And the 2600 is quite a bit slower in most things than the 3100. That has got clock speed as an advantage. Jack Seller says, haha, common British thing. Anyone that knocks on late, who the hell's that at this time? Yeah, exactly. It is kind of like 10 o'clock here in the UK. Soten Joe says, rings is good, just saying. I thought it was the ice cream fan. Alexa says, maybe I'll move back to Florida. They don't have sales tax. Well, see,
They have mosquitoes.
they do have mosquitoes, special Monsanto ones, which you should be very wary of.
But they don't have masks.
Yeah, you don't have to wear masks there though. So, rough with this move. Kieran Atkinson says, is the 1600 AF still a thing? Yeah, they do seem to be still about. You still can get them. Irish Rallying says the 299 MSRP for the 5600X is simply too expensive compared with the current price of the Ryzen 5 3600. It is. That is kind of the sweet spot. AMD's sweet spot at the moment is that Ryzen 5 3600. And it's going to be really difficult to compare the 5600X to the 3600 or 3600X or even 3600 XT. At those prices, it's just, I think it's too much. ClickTech Kev says, was it grot bags?
Grot bags scared me.
Grot bags used to scare the crap out of me as well. Pierre Plays YouTube says, Overclockers listed the 3080 GPU pre-release at about £50 cheaper than the US dollar price, which seems to be the norm. So those CPU prices are probably, unfortunately, not placeholders. Ugh. That's cheered me up. Captain Easy Adventure says, I watch a YouTuber who lives in Florida and they are moving to California because they say it's cheaper. Wow. Terry Broderick says, can't get a Ryzen 3300X here. Where are you, Terry? What's your neck of the woods? Can't get one here in the UK, so I'm guessing you probably are either US, although Aletta said that there pretty much everything is available in the US, so maybe you're not.
Terry's in, is it Canada? just ask.
Oh, Terry, yeah, Canada. Got you. Matthew Day says, is there a chorus of cat bells? Yes, there is always a chorus of cat bells in this house, which drives me absolutely insane.
Our 12-year-old cat's gone a bit Delally and thinks she's a kitten.
Giovanni P says, greetings from New Zealand. Bonjour. Late to the stream, getting a 3300X now and saving up for a 5900X by the end of next year as a way of getting a scalable build. Seems like a good way of doing it. 3300X is a pretty decent chip. Jack Steller says, where's Doge? He's usually behind the curtains somewhere. He's not behind our curtains, thankfully. Reese Reed says, the 3600 was 160 quid as part of a motherboard bundle from AWDIT. 160 quid for the 3600 is a great price. Captain Me's Adventure says, the COVID has killed Disney theme parks in Florida. I can imagine that being the case.
Reminds me of Police Academy when his watch is dead. Mickey is dead.
Pierre Plays YouTube says, you're welcome, Mike. I'm sticking with my 3700X Intel Zen 4. Mike says, can get the 3100 in Portugal, not the 3300X. Yeah, that's pretty much the same here. Insomnex says CCL have the 5600X for sale for £287. Still is way too much. Out of interest, what are CCL selling the Ryzen 5 3600 for? I would imagine what, 175, 180? Terry Burdick says, what about the 5300X? Yeah, the 5300X is going to be quite a hot one, as long as it's a good price. Fit and Local says CCL are trash.
Worst customer service ever.
Ugly Bob says they're 190 at the moment for CCL, and I would imagine if CCL are doing the Ryzen 5 3600 for 190, normally if you take 10 to 15 quid off of their prices, you get the Amazon price. So I'd imagine Amazon.co.uk probably will be about 175, maybe 180. Again, they don't have them in stock though. CCL. Rory says, hi team MU. That's MU. Mike's unboxing. Ugly Bob says 179 at Amazon. Still not great.
Currys have it on eBay for 180.
180. I think Currys have possibly the world's worst customer service ever. Like, pretty much renowned since the early 90s, maybe even the late 80s.
Even
The
Comet days.
Currys, Comet, PC World, all part of that same group. Yeah, absolutely shocking customer service. Literally shocking for an electrical company. I'll get my coat. I only figured out the Ryzen nomenclature, I can't even say that word, this month, a full year after buying the 2700. I'll be sticking with it as $650 US is 850 Canadian plus tax, equals 960 Canadian rupees. And he says, I paid 220 for the 2700. Yeah, that's just an insane drop. Terry Broderick has just checked Amazon for the Ryzen 3300X. 300 Canadian dollars. Way too pricey. Peter Plays YouTube says, payday is the 23rd and I can't bloody wait. Jack Seller says, I think it's time for my bed. Good night all. Currys is as good as the technical knowledge of their staff. Equals 0. Do you know what? I actually applied to go and work at PC Broad many years ago.
Where in the world?
And they said no, because you're overqualified. So okay, let's just rewind that a little bit. So you're a shop that sells computers, correct?
That was when they had the repair bit, wasn't it?
They even had their own like in-store repair center as well at this time, which I would have been perfect to work in. And like, yeah, you got too much experience. We like to get people in with 0 experience. So how does that work out for your customers? You've got staff with 0 experience and you're letting them loose on people's computers. Are you mental? And I think the answer to that is definitely yes, because not long after, PC World stopped doing in-store repairs. Rory O'Donnell has given us 10 euros and says, hi Mike, I really enjoy your channel. Crazy person. How long do you think it will take AMD to reduce the 5000 series from MSRP? February, March? That is a really good question. I gotta be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure. I would say if sales drop off a cliff from November the 5th, initially obviously they're going to get that initial boost because people that were waited, pre-ordered or whatever the case may be, more money than sense, they will buy them. So there'll be that initial surge probably from the first month, possibly. The run up to Christmas, people will be splashing the cash. What do I get little Johnny for Christmas? Let's get him a new PC. What does he want? Oh, little John has been watching Jay's 2 cents on the interweb, and Jay's 2 cents says that the Ryzen 5000 series is the shit. So Johnny needs that in his computer. So those people will be going out and buying them en masse because they don't know what they're buying, so they'll just buy it because it's new and shiny. And they'll probably get recommended it. They'll go into stores, Best Buy, whatever, PC World here in the UK, and they'll be like, well, what PC should I buy? Buy this because it's got a Ryzen 5000 series. It's the latest and greatest, and it's 7nm. And they'll be like, oh wow, 7nm, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I need to get me some of that. Yeah, Johnny wants that, put it in a basket. Here's my card, job done. Realistically, once that's out of the way, the Christmas rush and that kind of initial burst, I think sales will drop off the cliff if they don't reduce the prices. Alternatively, they could artificially dry up the 3000 series market so that there's nothing available. So you're kind of like, well, I really need to build a PC. The 3600 is not available. Oh God, I need to build it. So you stump out the cash for the 5600. That might happen. I'm not sure how much AMD 3000 series stock is available in the kind of retail channel at the moment. So it's impossible to kind of foresee if that is going to be a thing or not. It has been very tight. I have had some conversations with people that do work or are on the kind of inside track, so they know what's coming in and coming out of the country, and they have said that there has been containers of processors coming in, but most of the stock has been allocated to OEMs and stuff like that, system builders. So the retail side of things is going to look a little bit shaky, I think. So we may be forced into buying these 5000 series processors, whether we like it or not. And it may even be that AMD are forced to release the 5300 or 5100 or whatever those lower end parts are going to be. They may be forced to release them earlier than intended, purely to patch the gap in the market where there's nothing at the bottom end. Who knows? But it's certainly interesting to think about it. Aletta says, I know what I'm buying, give me new and shiny. There is going to be a lot of it. A lot of people know what they want. They don't care if it costs $200, $300, $400 more than what the previous one cost. They don't care. It's just new and it's shiny and you got to have it. And there is a lot of people out there that will be doing that.
Got Ugly Bob.
Ugly Bob.
He's got my name back.
Ugly Bob says, PC World broke a mate's PC once when they tried to force an AGP graphics card into a PCI slot. This was quite a while ago, but still. Things haven't changed. They are certainly round peg, square hole kind of guys in PC World, unfortunately.
Didn't they find out Gary Glitter?
Yeah, and actually our local-ish PC World in Cribs Causeway was actually the store responsible for Gary Glitter's downfall by finding things on his laptop or computer that should definitely not have been there. And he was actually arrested and put into the police station literally less than a mile away from our house, which was interesting times. For those of you who don't know who Gary Glitter is, it's...
Don't think he had his wig on though.
Yeah, Gary Glitter is rhyming slang, but also is a person. Not a particularly nice person, but certainly a person. Demonetized. Ah, dear, dear, dear. LJ Mini says, hi Mike, I think I'll stick with my Ryzen 2600X and upgrade to the Ryzen 7, Ryzen 9, as the new Ryzen will have some problems with my motherboards. I've heard they are only having selective motherboard BIOSes on some boards. Well, actually, LJ Mini, thank you for bringing that up. And that's actually a really, really important thing. There's a lot of people that are going to be on B450 motherboards or X470. Basically, you can buy the chip on release day, ain't going to work. Not going to happen. It's very...
Sorry, I couldn't quite hear you. Could you please repeat what you said?
No.
Okay.
Are we done? I'm trying to do a live stream here, Siri. You cool? Thank you. Anyway, so P450 and X470 owners, it seems, are going to get a little bit of a wait until the BIOSes come out. So they've been told, or basically what has been said is, if you've got the AGESA code, I think it's 1008, that will be compatible for allowing the system to boot up. There is going to be another AGESA code release a little bit later, which is going to be 1.1.02, I believe I saw, or maybe 1.1.00, which will give you full compatibility with those newer Ryzen chips. But this is the real clincher of this one. Some motherboard vendors will be forced to make it so that the upgrade is a one-time shot. So if you're considering upgrading and you put your new shiny 5000 series processor on your 400 series motherboard, and for some reason there's a weird compatibility glitch and you want to go back, it's not going to happen. Also, because it's a one-shot deal and it erases the EEPROM in its entirety, it does appear that if anything goes wrong in that, your motherboard's bricked. So for all intents and purposes, unless you've either got a motherboard with BIOS flashback, which isn't that many boards, or a dual BIOS board, which if you're a Gigabyte owner, then you might be in luck. But otherwise, most B450 and X470 board owners are going to be in a really, really awkward position where it's kind of almost like flipping a coin. If this works, great. If it doesn't, you're screwed. There's not going to be any middleman or realistically any easy way back out of the situation. So yeah, that is going to be a big thing. I'm sure, almost 100% positive, that this whole upgrade BIOS thing is going to be a real pain in the backside. I remember exactly what it was like when we went from the 2000 series to the 3000 series, and to some extent from 1000 to 2000, which was normally mostly like a drop-in upgrade. The 3000 series, not so much. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Most of the videos that are on the channel, the ones that do seem to get the most views, or at least the most questions, have been the BIOS upgrade videos, which generally most people get along with absolutely fine. But there's a lot of people that do struggle with them, and just the whole concept of it, they're really like, most of us, I don't know, probably I would say 90% of you that are watching this at the moment on the live stream, you're kind of into your tech stuff. You love it, you understand it, you tweak with it, you tinker, you do your BIOS flashes and all that, and relatively you do it and you don't sweat. It's absolutely fine. But some people would get really, really kind of scared about the whole process and really nervous, or just don't understand the whole concept. It's like, well, so if I put a BIOS on a USB stick, how does that get from the USB stick into my computer? What kind of magical sorcery is this? They just don't get it. But again, everyone's got their own thing. Not everyone knows what they're doing or is comfortable doing it. I must admit, in the early days doing BIOS flashes, yeah, it wasn't always a bed of roses and things did go wrong, but you learn from your mistakes. Unfortunately, they're quite expensive mistakes. Unless you've got a motherboard with dual BIOS, which I would say is a preferable way to go if you possibly can. I have had, actually, my kind of insider has hinted at what possibly may be available in the rest of the AMD range. So if you want me to dig up the email and have a quick read through it, and I'll try and pick out any bits that have been actually quoted, I will do. I won't give you the person's name, because obviously that is bad juju, so I won't be doing that. But I will scan through and see if there's any little highlights that I can give you regarding the stock requirements and also SKUs, which potentially may or may not be coming out. If you want me to, I will do, but let me know. Irish Rallying says the majority of 4000 series motherboards should get BIOS updates for Ryzen 5000 series in January 2021, which in a weird scheme of things is probably when there will actually be stock available. Possibly. Rory says, Mike, in your opinion, what is the best, least disruptive bottleneck your PC can have? Ooh, I'm not too sure if I understand that one. In your opinion, what is the best, least disruptive bottleneck your PC can have?
What bottleneck can you have that's not too bad?
The least disruptive bottleneck, I would say, is probably RAM. Because RAM is something that you can relatively easily change. RAM, yeah, it's probably storage. So hard disk drive to SSD, that's kind of non-destructive or non-disruptive. A hard drive will get the job done eventually, but not as fast as an SSD. As for upgrading purposes, I suppose, yeah, RAM would be the least disruptive, because if your RAM is your bottleneck, so you've got 8 gigs of RAM and you're running Windows 10 now, really you need 16, sometimes from 16 and maybe up to 32. So it's quite easy to drop in some extra RAM. So that would say, I would say, is the least disruptive bottleneck. I'm not entirely sure if I understand the question fully. It's late and it's Saturday night. So the brain is, my brain's actually still on the exercise bike.
David Thompson at the bottom, least disruptive bottleneck was always the time it took the ex-wife to bring coffee from the kitchen.
Skystalker says, if you have spinning storage, a hard disk drive going to SSD will make a huge difference. Definitely, that is probably, I think for most devices, laptops, PCs, pretty much anything, if you go from solid state storage, or sorry, go to solid state storage from a mechanical drive, the difference is very, very pronounced. Go Satter says, Kath and Mike's Saturday night takeaway. We did have Saturday night takeaway tonight.
This might be an afternoon one, but they weren't open, were
they? Yeah. Irish Rallying says that MSI Max motherboards come with larger BIOS RAMs, 32 megabit, and could support Ryzen 5000 series without axing support for Zen 1, 2, and 3. Yes and no. From what I've heard, there is going to be another 14 SKUs of the Ryzen processors in the 5000 range. Whether that's true or not, I don't know for sure, but I have been semi-reliably informed that there will be an additional 14 SKUs. So that makes us, what, 18, 19 processors deep, which is a lot of coding. So I think even with the 32 megabyte BIOSes, I would imagine that some of it is going to have to go. Yeah, 14 SKUs. Now, I don't know how those SKUs are made up. And if you think about it, actually, it isn't that difficult to do. If you look at any of the BIOSes for recent motherboards, you look at the compatible processors, if you look down through, there's probably about 50 or so. So to think that there's 50 for the previous 2 or 3 generations, if you divide it down, so 15, 16, 17 entries per generation, it's not unheard of. And being that AMD have gone down this kind of whole X and XT route for different processors, depending on their binning, it's quite easy to do. Also, we are overdue APUs. So take into account, you've got your normal processors, then you've got your APUs on top of that, which realistically, there's probably going to be, what, 4 or 5. So to have an additional 10 slots for other processors. Don't forget, you've got your Ryzen Pros to come into this as well. For the business users, there's generally going to be 4 or 5 of those as well. So an extra 14 SKUs is going to get taken up pretty quickly. It really will.
Billy's on.
Cheers, Billy. Yeah, catch you on the Discord. Ugly Bob says if your brain is on the exercise bike, then you're sitting on it wrong. Or I'm sitting on it right and my brain is in the wrong place.
It is in your trousers.
It is in my trousers, apparently.
I didn't notice at the back.
Peter Plays YouTube says, oh my god, when I squeeze the side of my phone, mod controls come up. Advanced apologies if I accidentally time anyone out or may have time anyone out, lol. I may have not come in until I get a new PSU. Giovanni says, what did people think of Stormy? Is it still relevant? I think with the prices dropping as much as they have, Stormy is becoming less and less relevant as days go on. Doriente says, yeah, people forget that there are also the Pro CPUs of the Ryzen. Easily overlooked. I don't think I know anybody who's actually owned one, but they certainly are available and do get sold. NR3 games, etc., or NRI games. What about APUs? Well, APUs, let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to open up the email that I got sent and I'll see if I can get any information out of it. Angel Churchill, our daughter, says hello. Hiya. Hello. She's only upstairs.
Directly above.
Literally directly above. Where are we? Mike's unboxing. That's me.
Good. Says hello.
Here we go. Right, let's have a quick look. Right, this is speculation, so do take this with salt, vinegar, pepper, and various other condiments. So it is a potential that the Ryzen, the Zen 3 chips, starting at the 6 core, being released first, which is what my sources said, being released in the UK for around the £220 to £230 mark. So if you take that into consideration with the Ryzen 5 3600, which is the 6-core 12-thread variant, the new version of that being £220 to £230 on launch, does kind of tally up with the £50 increase or $50 increase between the original release price of the American versions, $50, £50. So if the Ryzen 5 5600X does get released for about $220 against the current price of the 3600 at roughly around about the 180 mark, 190, excuse me. I think that then does put things into a very different perspective. For an extra, what, £40 arguably, maybe 30 if it narrows slightly, £30 difference between the two processors with a 25% increase in speed does then start to make an awful lot of sense. Again, this is speculation and this is going on. They've actually said in the email, it's all in lowercase apart from this one big word saying speculation in inverted commas. So, and they're saying that the speculation among the retail crew is that the retail chips are going to start at 220, 230 for the 6 cores, and then that being cheaper than the i5 10600K, whilst also obviously outperforming the 10600K. Blah blah blah. No news on new chipsets, which we've kind of guessed. I think that is going to be what is going on. The refresh was mentioned from this person previously, so yeah, I can quite happily go along with that. There is some speculation. Again, this is total speculation, so yeah, grain of salt, block of salt, Saltberg if you want, that the next chipset is going to be DDR5, which we pretty much know anyway, and also quite likely going to be using NVMe 5.0 support, which is actually quite interesting, and that would then be with the AM5 socket. So that's actually quite an interesting theory. NVMe 5.0 support, which is going to be effectively the same as what is in the PS4 and the Xbox. At least I believe so. Global Foundries have nearly fulfilled all of the Zen Plus back orders for OEM chips. So they're now working on the refreshed product lines for Zen Plus. So that is going to be, your Zen Plus parts will be things like your APUs, some of the older APUs, so you should start seeing more of those, and a load of those mini PCs with built-in graphics. Yeah, things like the Acer branded ITX boards with soldered on chips, that kind of stuff. Not so exciting, but there you go. Seems that the 8-core 16-thread APUs may well be coming out very shortly, and with onboard graphics which are pretty much matching the levels of a GTX 950, as in the desktop variant. So that's actually pretty exciting. Trying to think what else we've got in here that I can actually say. 8-core CCDs, yeah, that was confirmed. Yeah, there is talk of a refreshed Zen Plus architecture in the mid-range, which is going to be covered by a also refreshed Zen2 architecture, marketed possibly as the 4000 series, which again would make a lot of sense. Sorry, I'm skipping through this. I'm trying to not give away too much, but also again, this is very much speculation. So, yeah, it's somebody who is involved with the kind of what they call the channel, which is what all the stock passes through here in the UK. So there is, yeah, again, grain of salt. Believe it if you want to. If you don't, it's entirely up to you. I'm only passing on information which, as such, from this individual, the information I've had previously has generally all pretty much panned out exactly as explained. So I've got no reason to call bullshit or anything like that. It all seems to be absolutely fine. And again, they have said it is speculation, so it's not like this is what is going to happen. We don't know. I think that is pretty much all that I can say at the moment. Some of the other stuff in here, I would love to tell you. I genuinely would love to tell you, but for reasons of not disclosing the person's identity and also getting them into trouble, I probably shouldn't say any more. So I'm going to close that before I do. It's very tempting to say things, but yeah, it's not good, because obviously then if they get found out for passing out information that they possibly shouldn't do, yeah, it looks bad on them. And yeah, I don't want to do that. I don't want to put the person in a bad situation. But that is Captain Meets Adventures says, Mike, with all those new chips coming, what fish do you suggest to go for? Well, personally, I would go with a fish cake. So you've got a mixture of fish in there and a nice bready crumb around the outside. So that works for me. The best RC says price drop for Black Friday.
Ugly Bob thinks your secret
I don't know.
email's from Lisa Sue.
My secret email is from Lisa Sue. My
She slipped it in her shoe.
yeah, she wraps the messages around her heels and then accidentally puts her leg up that.
And emails it through
Yeah.
AI.
She's actually got USB sticks in her heels.
They weren't stilettos, they were USB shoes.
Did you notice Lisa Sue's shoes? When you saw the bottom of them, it said SanDisk on them.
Did it?
No. Did it? Wally. Sky Stalker is giving us 10 Canadian dollars. Ooh, it says, towards your 5000 series AMD chip, review time. Oh dear. Thank you very much. Fake Paradigms, or Paradigm. Any gravy? Oh, I don't know. I don't think fish cake and chips requires gravy.
Curry sauce, maybe.
Fish cake and chips, I think maybe a little bit of mayonnaise. Or salad cream. Not salad cream. Oh my God, what did I just say? Tomato sauce, I think, would be the preferable thing there with fish cake and chips. If you're having pie and chips, steak and kidney pie and chips, or steak and ale pie and chips, definitely some nice thick gravy. Pierre Plays YouTube says, Bob, that's why she rang on the doorbell. That's Lisa Sue, ringing on the doorbell. Just checking in, making sure I'm all good. Pierre Plays YouTube says, I actually wouldn't be surprised if she had USB sticks in her shoes. Lol, that woman is a walking computer chip. Yeah, she is like uber intelligent. Their family is like seriously like overachievers. Incredible. Ugly Bob says, at Sky, I donated 420, not one giggle. 420 blazing. There you go. Captain Meets Adventures says, Mike, when I drank out of the rings, did you lick the rim?
No, but you can now.
No. I just know that's going to end up on Discord. Oh, everyone's talking about food. Just stop it. DS says, hello, good evening. DS, save us, please, in the chat. And Yeah, we can't have any more of this talk of food because I'm getting hungry. Skystalker says, hey, it's always 4:20 in Canada at Ugly Bob. Matthew Day says, gotta go for a pee. Put you on the Android, it's 2 seconds ahead. Yeah, I'm time traveling. Awesome. Kieran Atkinson says, sod it, I'm replacing my 3400G with the 3600. The 3600 is a fantastic processor. I know I've said it so many times before in previous videos, but now more than ever, because of the recent releases, even more. The processor, the 3600, like, I edit on that machine every single day. Literally every single day. I don't recall the last time I had a blue screen of death on the machine. I don't recall the last time where I've actually had to do any real weighting other than the, oh God, the warp transcoding for stabilization. That drives me insane waiting for that. But unfortunately, it is nature of the beast, and I have actually tried it with another processor with more cores, and it's still relatively similar. So I think it's just the way that Adobe Premiere works. I kind of would like to run it with an Intel system with integrated graphics and a separate GPU just to get the extra little bit of performance out of there. That is possibly the only thing which would push me towards a 5000 series. Now that the IPC is that much faster, competitive, if not beating Intel on those single core and threaded things, so it does make a lot of sense for video editing. Adobe Premiere users as well, no longer are you going to be relegated to having to have an Intel setup. Now you can pick up an AMD chip, fire up Photoshop, and it should run very, very well. Although saying that, Photoshop for me, I don't know what it is, it just seems to get slower and slower every year when they update it. And I don't know why. Essentially it's doing exactly the same thing. But even now, if I get an image, maybe cut something off my desktop, put it into Adobe Premiere, and just try and stretch it, literally just stretch the image, it's like juddery. It takes ages to do it, and I don't know why it is. It should be faster. It's a good PC. Anyway, moving on. Terry Broderick says, Mike, you need a straw. I need something, that's for sure. Dorianty says, I need to visit Wales again. Haven't been there for years. I don't think you can anymore. I think they closed it. Closed due to lack of interest. Or was it lockdown? One of the two.
Or was it because I'm a celebrity who's been there?
Yeah, even I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here is not going to happen this year because... No, they cancelled it.
Have they? I know they cancelled the castle.
Yeah, they're gonna pass it over to next year now. So I'm a Celebrity this year is gone. Which is good because that gives me another year to get a little bit more notoriety on the YouTubes before they come knocking on my door. Say, hey Mike, do you want to be in I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here? Kath is literally choking on her drink right there. That is not funny. Seriously, I'm not doing...
You're not...
Celebrity Come Dine With Me, possibly. I can maybe do that. Skating on ice. Not dancing on ice. Dancing on ice, or that... Strictly Come Dancing. They can jog on. Not going there. But I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. As long as it's in the hot jungle or the Celebrity Come Dine With Me.
Like Celebrity MasterChef. Right.
Celebrity MasterChef.
For your fish cakes.
Fish cakes and chips. With a little bit of gravy on the side and a little... What's those stupid little pots they have? Compote or something? What's that?
That's like jam.
Yeah, compote they call it, don't they? Is it actually a pot?
No, a little bit of dew.
A dew. Put a bit of dew on it. Put a bit of Arctic freezer dew on the top of it. So what have you got for us today, Mike? Well, I've got these hot cross buns with a nice layer on the top of MX4 compound. Guaranteed not to burn.
Hell's Kitchen.
Oh dear. Hell's Kitchen, I could do that. Oh dear. Ugly Bob says he needs some Sudocrem for his biker bottom. Biker Grove. Gary Haig says Premiere Pro or Photoshop CC mic. Both of them actually. Premiere Pro and Photoshop both actually run like a dog. They work okay, but they're not as smooth as they used to be, for sure. Probably some tweak I've got to do somewhere.
What's T-class? I'll write it down.
Scotty Stalker says, oh god, Mike on a TV network, that is a scary thought. It'd be like Borat. It would be like watching Borat. Yes, I like. It's nice. Am I allowed to do that? Is that racial appropriation? Who knows?
Mike's uncooking.
Mike's uncooking. Iron Boy 123, is the Ryzen 7 37X better than the Ryzen 5 5600X? Now that, my friend, is a fantastic question. And it depends on what you're using it for. If you're using it for multi-threaded tasks, the Ryzen 7 37X is going to be considerably better. It does have very, very similar frequencies. So that actually is a very good call. The 25%-ish IPC might make a difference. Realistically, until we can see any benchmarks or test them themselves, that is a very, very tough call. Yes, Kath?
Rory is asking, is there a way to associate your referral ID to the Android Amazon UK app? Because when I click on a link, it takes me to the web page.
Oh, yeah.
But I usually put it in my basket from there and then go back to the app and it's in there.
Rory, I honestly don't know the answer to that.
I don't have an Android.
I think if you open the app first of all, then you click on one of our links, it says, do you want to open this in the app or do you want to open it in your browser? If you choose to open it in your app, if the app's open, I think it will do it that way. It's all about associating the app with the links.
But otherwise you can log in on the browser, put it in your basket, and go back to your app to buy it, I think.
Does that work?
I think that's what I've done before now.
Possibly. If you're not too sure, message Kath on our Discord or drop your email or something and Kath will find that out and see what the deal is. I've got to be honest with you, I'm not entirely sure.
If you knew Android better.
Ghost Adder says, ooh, fish cake. Ooh, fish paste. Am I allowed to do that?
No.
Didn't think I was.
Apologise to fish.
Apologise. Kieran Axon's Hell's Kitchen's tears. Eating chocolate ants was my limit, I'm afraid, says Gary Haig.
We had them on Christmas, didn't we?
We did have that. We had a thing from Iceland, like a gift set thing, didn't we? With
no, I think my mum got
I'm a Celebrity or something. Oh, it might have been actually, yeah.
It was like dried up
How to unbox a fish cake.
mealworms and stuff.
Oh yeah, that was it, yeah. Gary Haig says, Premiere Pro is slow, but CC is fast on my current Office PC. Well, my Premiere Pro is part of the Creative Suite. So it's Premiere Pro CC. If that makes any difference. Pierre Plays YouTube says, I gotta head out, guys. I'm knackered tonight. Lol. Enjoy the rest of your night, everyone. Thank you. Mike's Good Cooking, KOK, and Dominate Rate My Plate. Oh dear. Right. DS says, can you review some budget TWS? DS, that is about all I ever do, other than motherboards and cheap stuff. If you just do a search for TWS or earbuds or earphones on this channel, you will find at least 20 or 30 videos.
I think we have a playlist.
Yeah, Kath just said there is actually a wireless headset or audio playlist actually. So if you go into the channel, look in playlists and there's TWS ones and you see there's loads. Oh dear Lord. Terry Broderick says 3600X and 36XT, 329 Canadian dollars. Yep, Kath says to Ugly Bob, and to all of you actually, if you use any of our affiliate links, we genuinely do appreciate it. We do monitor it and we do keep an eye on it to see if people are...
We don't know,
who you are or what you're buying, although some of you are freaks and so seriously have a word for yourself. But those of you that are not freaks and are buying good stuff, good on you. And thank you very much, because it all helps the channel. It's actually surprising, even if it's just a small thing, I don't know, maybe a set of towels or some soap, whatever it is, your family shopping, or a PC, laptop, computer, you name it, whatever it is. If you're buying it on Amazon, do try and use our links if you possibly can. It does really make a difference. Even if it's just a little thing, all those little things add up to be bigger things. That's almost quite a pragmatic thing to say now.
You can just click through our links and buy anything. You don't have to buy what it comes up with.
Yeah, that is absolutely right. You don't have to click on the link and actually buy the product. Once you've clicked on that link and you're in, our associate ID will appear. If you look at the top in the URL, you'll see somewhere in there which says Mike's Unboxing, or Mike's Unboxing 21, I think it is. If you see that in there, that means that anything you buy at that time is kind of associated with our Amazon affiliate account. So every little helps. And actually, I know I'm an affiliate of Amazon, so I probably shouldn't say it, but it is bloody good. And getting it delivered, Amazon Prime, I don't know what I'd have done during this whole coronavirus stuff without Amazon Prime. It has been absolutely brilliant. We have totally and utterly got our money's worth on Amazon Prime for the yearly membership, from the deliveries we've had,
lockdown
groceries we were getting sent through
when there was no
from Amazon Prime shopping, or whatever it is, the Amazon Goods Now or whatever they call it these days. Prime Now, that's it.
I think they're doing it on actual
absolutely
Amazon
brilliant.
as well.
So if you can, every little bit helps out. Yeah, helps us to make content like this.
Fake Parrot bought a headset on the strength of one of your reviews.
Oh, that's cool. Fake Paradigm bought a headset on the strength of one of your reviews. Mike, still performing great. Awesome. I am awesome. I know a lot of people think that pretty much everyone on YouTube who's kind of shilling for stuff is a shill. And yeah, at some points, you do actually feel like it. I'll be completely honest and up front. You get these products sent to you and you're like reviewing it and you're trying to highlight the good parts. Sometimes you can't help but see the bad parts because it's just inherent to what it is. So I do feel personally, when I'm doing these videos, it's like, am I kind of shilling? But ultimately, pretty much everything I use here now, for Mike's Unboxing, Cass computer, my computer, all the stuff you see all around me, is stuff that I use on a daily basis. And there's been so much stuff that I've actually said to companies, no, I'm not interested, I don't want to do it, or no, this is going to cost my viewers more money to buy it than a company that I use already, so I'm not interested. Yeah, you might give me excellent referral rates, or you might want to pay for sponsorship. I don't care, because ultimately it isn't as valuable a product to my viewers, and I value my viewers more than I value a couple of quid in my bank balance. So anything I do review, I will try and do as honest as I possibly can. If there's stuff that goes wrong after the fact, after I've done the review, that is a little bit out of my hands. There has been a couple of things. I will mention one actually, which has been the, what was that watch? The iWatch clone from, I can't even remember who it was from now, but Eardots. Forever Store, was it? Yeah, Forever Store. I've had quite a few emails from them, not from them personally, but from customers saying I can't get hold of them, or I've not had the right product come through, and it's like, I'm really sorry. When I was using them, this is about a year ago now, everything seems to be on the level.
The person we're dealing with did get back to us and say they're no.
Actually, yeah, the person we were specifically dealing with for the company said, look, I'm sorry, I don't work with them anymore, they're nothing to do with me, I can't help you. So it's like, things do change. So if I've done a review and it was a positive review, but then the product turns out to be bad later on, it's unfortunate, but I can't always keep an eye on these things, and unless you guys tell me, I can't try and remedy it. And actually I am considering pulling the video for that, because people are still buying it from my link, which I don't make any money from, so it makes no difference to me. But I almost want to change the video to make people aware that there's something different going on there now, but I don't know. I'll have to think about that. Anyway, I'm getting into a place where I don't want to be right now, because this is Saturday night, happy times, all that kind of stuff. But just to let you know that I'm not just this kind of shill that's taking money. I don't really need the money, to be completely honest with you, but it obviously is nice and it helps pay the bills.
And it helps buy new products.
And it helps get new products, yeah, and laptops, and it also helps me to consume lots of beer on a Saturday night, which is always good.
Lovely Bob says he uses the video capture dongle and the Medici smartwatch.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, the actually the video capture dongle. I was trying to do some work the other day, and I was like, where did I put that bloody dongle? It's in here somewhere, and I'll be damned if I can find it. I'm gonna have to buy another one, I think. That is the trouble of having too much stuff around you. You can never find anything. I need to organise my stuff. I'm gonna put some shelves up here. I'm sure of it, but you lot will never see it. Although you might do, because I am actually investing in some other camera equipment, so I can do a little bit more camera work and have a little bit of a different look. So you will start seeing it soon.
But we changed it around at the beginning of lockdown and it's all gone back.
Yeah, that's true.
Is the GTX 1060 still a mid-range card?
Shadow Stalker 00, is the GTX 1060 still a mid-range card? Well, there's a couple of different versions of the 1060. If it's the 3 gig version, I would say not really. It still is quite powerful, but 3 gigs is a little bit limiting for some of today's resolutions and game textures. If it's the 6 gig one, yes, it is pretty much. It's still a mid-range card. I wouldn't class it as an entry-level card, because the 60 range is always kind of mid-range anyway. Essentially, the 30 and 50 range and the TI versions of that and the super versions are your kind of entry-level. Crazy cat. The 1060, 1070, and the super variants of those, or the TI variants, are generally the mid-range, and then you get your 80s and above, which are the kind of top tier. Irish Rallying says, yeah, that's a good point. You can get Amazon Prime free for 6 months if you're a student.
And if you're not, you can get it for 30 days.
Yeah, and if you're not a student and you want to use it for 30 days, a trial, if you do it through our links, you can do that, and it doesn't cost you anything, doesn't cost me anything. You can cancel it literally within like an hour of doing it and still get your 30 days, so you don't get charged anything. That's pretty cool. Soap and Jill says, yeah, 6 gig card is still good. There's a pussycat. Flame. Hello? Don't knock the camera over, because you will be turned into a handbag or a hat. Matthew Day says, toying from upgrading from a 1060 to a 1070. 1070 is a good card. I missed mine actually. I wish I never sold it. It was a really good card. Terry Broderick says, no one's interested in my Vegas 56. Shame you're not in the UK. I would have had that. Never had one of those Vega cards, so I would quite like to try one.
That wasn't the noisy cat, that was...
There's the noisy cat. No, it's not. That's the other cat who's not so noisy. He's actually pretty quiet. Apart from in the middle of the night when he comes in late and it's like, all the lights are out in the house, we're obviously all asleep, so he comes in and announces that he's home.
All the way up the
As
garden,
cats do.
apparently.
All the way up the garden, in through the cat flap, up the stairs, all the way up to the top until he gets to where he's going to go to sleep, either on our bed or on the carpet outside by the bathroom or whatever. And it's like, just shut up. It's nice to know that you're home safe, but just turn it down a notch or two. Kenny D says, I feel like my RX 570 is starting to struggle in some games though. That's why I'm hoping the next 200 GPUs are good. Dip T says, hi bro, I'm your big fan from India. Awesome, nice to have some of our Indian friends over. Actually, I've got to be honest, a lot of the comments, especially on some of the AirPod videos and things like that, and the BIOS videos especially, loads and loads of our Indian friends messaging in and asking questions, so it's awesome. And it would be really, really nice to be able to get a little bit more exposure over there. So if you can, share the videos to your friends, let them know. Yeah, just say, look, there's this crazy guy from English, the crazy Englander, as I think I got called by someone once. What was he said? I thought that all Englanders were idiots or something. Can't remember exactly what it was. I'll have to find it, but it was an amazing statement. Anyway.
Cat. for me.
RX 570 is my possible purchase for a budget build. The RX 570 is actually a pretty decent card. Now, I have actually been meaning, as Waldo135 said a little bit earlier, I've been trying to do a video on some aspects of Microsoft Flight Simulator using the RX 570. Now, you're probably thinking, RX 570, Microsoft Flight Simulator? What are you smoking? That is not going to work. Well, actually, weirdly, it isn't entirely rubbish. It actually plays it pretty decent. Like, it's really enjoyable. So I will be doing a video on that just to highlight the fact that even though Microsoft Flight 2020 is quite a demanding title, with a reasonable processor and an RX 570, you can still have a very, very enjoyable experience. That'll be coming up very soon, so yeah, keep an eye out for that. Kieran Atkinson, anyone got a recommendation for LED projectors? All the ones I've bought have been obnoxiously loud. Unfortunately, due to the nature of basically visuals and thermodynamics, there isn't really a great deal you can do about it. LED lights generate heat. Even like car LED lights, they've got those big heat sinks on the back of them to remove the heat, and they're not designed to be used in enclosed spaces. Any other LED lights, let me think of one, for example. Oh, actually, there's a really good example. So something like this. This is a tiny little one from Joby. This is actually for filming. And I'll try not to blind everybody. Is that on the lowest setting? Yeah, that's on the lowest setting, so that's right. You can get an idea of how bright that actually is because it's got lens flares actually. Look at the lens flare on the camera. Amazing. Oh, there. That'll do. That works. That's actually very good timing. Thank you for that. Wario O'Donnell is put €2 in and says, buy Captain Meat a cider. Captain Meat don't need no more cider, but we'll see what we can do. But this is an LED light, and take it off. That is a bit too harsh. Let's put that back on. So this is designed for filming. Now this actually does get quite. Yeah, please, yeah. So just touching that on there, it's only been on a little while, and it's already generating a little bit of heat. The whole back of it is metal to try and remove some of that heat. So you think that is relatively bright, but a projector one would be considerably brighter than that. So it does require quite a lot of cooling, and also because you've got the other electronics inside of the capsule, you've got your heat sink, you've got your lamp obviously, other things like your processor, etc, etc, etc. It will need considerable cooling, and there isn't really a way of doing it other than using fans. Most companies, unfortunately, don't use particularly good quality fans. They're okay, but they're not really that great a quality. If you get a projector and take it apart and actually put in something like a Noctua fan, it makes a massive, massive amount of difference. But on a lot of these projectors now, actually taking them apart and getting inside isn't particularly easy. It is something that I've considered doing. I'm trying to think which was one of the quieter ones that we had.
We've got one coming this week. Oh.
We have actually got one coming from a new company, APUs. So their projectors are supposedly very, very good, but we've not seen it yet, so I couldn't really comment. But I think it was the Apeman LC560, is that? 560 or 550? That was quite a quiet one, if I remember rightly. But I might have to do that, do a group test on the projectors to see what is the best value for money, what is the quietest, etc, etc. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Terry. Appreciate that. Ugly Bob says, so much lens flare produced by J.J. Abrams. Yeah, actually, that was, I don't know how I managed to get so much lens flare in that. That was impressive. Let's see if I can get it again. Yeah, look at that. Why is it doing that so much? That's got a UV filter on it as well. Actually, on the camera. And that's not even on the brightest setting. I can make E.T. the movie. This thing does get very, very bright. That's on the highest brightest. There, that is on the brightest setting, and I've just destroyed the camera.
And my eyes.
Sorry. So I've actually got to do a review on this. This is a portable spotlight for for cameras, DSLRs, and for mobile phones, all that kind of stuff. You can actually control it via Bluetooth as well, so you can actually mount it somewhere and control it via Bluetooth to adjust your lighting. Pretty cool. Lawrence. Kath said I got to look at Lawrence. Dictator Thumper says my eyes. I can't see it. Oh, Lawrence. Mike, I'm on FX 8460. I'd never even heard of that. Don't even know that existed. I get the idea. So you're on FX. I want Ryzen, so I need motherboard, RAM, and CPU. What should I put the money on? I'm 63. The perfect setup in one go. Blimey.
Maybe think that over.
That's what I definitely need to think about, and also your budget and all that kind of stuff. Lawrence, if you can, we have got a Discord chat server, which I think has been linked. Or alternatively, you can email. Where are we? No, wrong end. There we go. So, there we go. Long finger, because I'm close to the mic. Look how the weird stuff it does to your finger and the edges, look. Fingers aren't really that big, look. Normal. Sorry, I'm amusing myself. Send me an email, mike@mikesunboxing.com, if you've got any stuff like that needs doing. If not, our Discord chat server is a much easier way of doing it, a much quicker way of doing it, because you can have quick one-to-ones or talk to any one of our resident experts, of which there are many, and they have varying levels of expertise on various subjects. So whether it's PC builds, coding, web services, VPNs, graphics, whatever the case may be, there's someone who's pretty much done everything. Fake Paradigm says, see if you can get Mike to say cider again at Captain Meat. Lol. Cider! I feel like I'm being abused. John Sullivan says, as an AV technician, I can confirm that LED projectors are noisy and hot. For ours, we had to have air conditioning and some noise, and the noise is absolutely insane. Yes. This is very much a thing. Skystalker says, smaller fans need higher RPM in order to keep components cool. And that equals noise, unfortunately. Maybe that's something I might have to do, actually, is to avoid burning people's retinas, obviously, but see if we can modify one of the projectors with a little bit of DIY. Is it worth destroying a projector in the chasing of science and thermodynamics? Gary Haig says Optima makes some fairly quiet LED projectors. They ain't cheap. Yeah, the Optima ones actually I've had looked at before. They are a little bit more expensive, but if you're going to use it on a regular basis, actually it's a pretty decent investment. David Thompson says, you just gave me sunburn. Sorry. And at no extra charge. Eltel says, just tuned in for Mike to blind me. Sorry.
Will it blend?
Will it blend? It might do. Lawrence Owens says, thank you, no problem. Kieran says, am I better sticking to my old Epson Mercury lamp projector? In some respects, possibly. They do use more electricity. Some of them do get a bit hot as well, so I don't know. That is the holy grail of projectors, really, and I'm still waiting for one that comes that is actually silent and has a good image quality. You very rarely get the two. You either get extremely good image quality and a little bit of noise, or you get poor image quality, a very dull picture, but low noise. It is one of those unfortunate trade-offs. Kenny D says, hey Mike, what do you think about the big Navi teaser? At the moment, it is still very much a teaser. Until we see some real pricing and performance, that essentially all it is they've basically shown us 2010's version of the Batmobile in a graphics card. Irish Rallying says the Polaris series GPUs are still the best frame per dollar GPUs after 3 years. That's very impressive. They are actually. The Polaris was a good lot of cards, definitely. Will be 25 years, blimey. Right, I didn't realise what the time is now. We've been doing this for 2 hours and 15 minutes. So
Alexa wonders if you could water cool a projector.
a water-cooled projector is actually not...
It's a good project for her.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's a great project for you, Letta. We'll send you one if you want, and you can do it for us. I don't think I'm quite up to that. Yeah, I think that's about it. I don't think I should answer any more questions because I'll just carry on doing this for the rest of the evening. And unfortunately, I have work to do tomorrow, and I also got to pick up some RAM, which I managed to buy off our Facebook Marketplace recently, which is a phenomenal deal, which no doubt you will be hearing about in the following days or weeks. So I think that is going to wrap things up. Hopefully you've had a moderately enjoyable time this evening. I certainly have had a laugh. I don't know about you guys. If you have had a laugh and you've enjoyed yourself and you find this content valuable, then please do click on the like button. If you like this type of content and you want to see it on a more regular basis, click on the subscribe button and the chime icon. And you never know, YouTube might even notify you when there's a video release. Generally, we do release videos on a daily basis at 6 AM UK time, so we might be adjusting that slightly to go with a little bit later in the day. We are kind of working to see what is best for our viewers. It does seem that most of our viewers are active UK time-wise between round about, I think it was 7 o'clock and 10 o'clock or something. So maybe we'll be changing the schedule of some of the videos, but that is another matter altogether. Thank you everyone who's put a super chat in, and thank you everyone who's commented tonight and added to the conversation. Hopefully we've answered some of your Ryzen 5000 questions, and hopefully we'll be seeing some price decreases in the very few coming weeks ahead of the actual launch itself, and we'll see some firmer prices. As we do see those prices and updates, possibly I'll make some more videos on it, or I'll certainly will discuss it in the Saturday night live streams as per usual. Yeah, thanks to everyone who's dropped in a super chat. Thanks for all your comments. Thanks for slamming the like button. If you can, it always helps us out by going to our videos and just clicking on a like, putting something in the comments section. Even if you don't want to answer, just put something like, oh, cool video or something like that. Chances are I'll reply anyway.
Like that.
But anything along those lines, just to help the algorithm and make it look as if the channel is entertaining for you. So please try and do that for us. That would be amazing. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. So yes, we will see you in the very next video. Thanks so much and enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. And this is where it says, do you want to end the stream? And yes, I do. I always want to end the stream when I press that button. Night, everybody. See you on Monday.